We're going to be talking about how men communicate. So this can be emotional communication, it can be verbal communication. I want to try and explore just with the guys here, and then some questions from yourselves later as to what that looks like, what should it look like, and what can we do to help improve that. So we'll go around and you guys introduce yourselves. Yeah, just start with yourself, man.
Yeah, my name's Manny, born and bred in Wolverhampton. I'm an ambassador for a charity called Dementia UK. Do some crazy things, fundraising, live my life through the eyes of my faith and the messages it teaches me, but not just keeping that inwards, but sharing it with as many people as possible. And one of the roles I have is I go into schools up and down the country to speak to young people in particular about the energy they have within them, how they can use it at a young age and make a positive impact in their lives.
Thanks, Manny. I'm Romain. I'm the founder of a company called Minds Together. A bit about me and my background. So for the last 5 years, I've been a senior leader at the Football Association. So my background is pretty much corporate, and I've been working with marginalised communities and marginalised backgrounds in an ED&I space. But what I wanted to do is pretty much do my own thing and to branch off and fly my wings, so to speak. So I created and founded Minds Together, which is an organisation that supports young boys between the ages of 13 and 17, but then also supports men to break unhealthy cycles such as bad mental health, violence against women and girls, which is one of our big topics at the moment, where we perform workshops on misogyny, and then we try and create and change the framing for men at the moment and be more positive. So we have workshops on resilience and leadership, and that's pretty much where it takes us. I've met Leighton recently. We've been LinkedIn friends for a couple of months, and we've kind of like said that we're going to collaborate, and that's what's brought me here today.
Hello, I'm Luceo. I'm CEO of Vision for All CIC. Bit about my background. I've ran the organisation for the past 3 years. I worked at Jaguar Land Rover before that. Left, got into digital marketing. Didn't enjoy it. Then got into business development and consultancy, and then shortly took over the CIC. We initially started in just like local spaces doing sports in the area called Castle Bromwich in Birmingham. Within 12 months, I scaled it to 6 figures and branching out into Warsaw. We're now in Tamworth, Warsaw, Solihull, Birmingham, and Staffordshire. We run mental health and emotional well-being projects, and we've been commissioned. We've got a therapeutic intervention booklet for 11 to 16-year-olds, which is a trigger diary based around emotions and how to deal with it. One of the main topics is it's okay to be angry. It's what you do with that anger, because a lot of young people are taught they're not allowed to be angry, they're not allowed to be sad, but it's okay. It's how we channel those emotions. We've got a cooking program called Future Flavors. Again, that's predominantly 11 to 16-year-olds. And we finished our first cohort of our business school for young entrepreneurs on Broad Street this year. Probably left some stuff out. Yeah, we do free community interventions across the Midlands, whether that's sports, badminton groups, women's groups, health and well-being, But yeah, that's a bit, that's in a nutshell. Happy to be here.
Thank you, everybody. So you mentioned kind of where I think would be good to start. You talked about dealing with emotion. So how easy do you guys think it is, and how about for yourselves as well, to express emotion, but without using humor or sarcasm or distraction when it's a difficult topic?
So I'll take it.
Go on.
I think if we're speaking about language and emotions, I think you got to pretty much strip it back and go back to the beginning, because as men, as boys, we taught not to speak. We taught not to have those conversations, and I think people don't realise how subtle that actually is. It could be as simple as my mum picking me up and saying, "Don't cry, be brave, be a man." And that's how early it's ingrained in our heads that men are a bit different to boys, and we have to deal with things and have different types of conversations and not speak as openly as girls. So that manifests itself through years and years of social conditioning for your own family who doesn't mean to do it. So that leads us to where we are now. And how do we speak, and how do we have those conversations? Do we find it difficult was the question. Yeah, we do. We do, because what we're doing at the moment is unbreaking we're breaking unhealthy cycles, but it's unhealthy cycles that's been years and years in the making. So when we have like, you use humor's my go-to. So if I feel uncomfortable, I'll say something funny to crack a joke, and I think I'm quite funny. I'll say something funny, and a lot of people, they have their go-tos to have those conversations, because what they're really doing is masking that we're struggling to have real meaningful and deep conversations. So is it difficult? Yes, it is. What's the change that we need to do? Recognize where it comes from. Parenting has to change. Conversations around young children has to change. And when men are open now on the settee like this, encourage people to speak.
And do you think is it the same for younger adults?
I would say in terms of like communication and stuff for myself, my nickname is Joker, so humor's always my go-to. I don't really take any situation serious. And then I learned not everything that I think or feel I must say in that time. It's about how I articulate myself and navigate situations, which has saved me and other people in a lot of situations. And I think communication is reading the room, reading the person, how they would receive it. In the younger generation and working with them, we try and navigate. It's okay to disagree. Your thoughts and their thoughts can coexist, but it's how you communicate that. Shutting somebody down because you disagree or you think what they've done's wrong isn't necessarily the best thing to do. I grew up in a generation of fight fire with fire, and I quickly learned at 17, 18, when I was going through some of certain situations and stuff, all that does is create more fire. And I self-taught myself fire with water and stuff that quells it. So any situation now, I can still get angry or I can still look at things, but I try and think of how can I navigate this and not only get the best outcome for ourselves, but for the other people attached directly or indirectly in the situation. And by that, what I mean is our own actions, our own words can have repercussions on someone else's son, daughter, father, and who am I to be responsible to bring that to somebody else? So I always communicate, I try to always communicate the best I can, and I pass the message on, and that includes my kids. If I feel like I've communicated wrong or incorrectly to my kids, my daughter's 6 and my son's 4, I will always apologise. I'll self-reflect. If I feel like I shouted too soon or something, I will say, Daddy's a bit stressed or Daddy was tired, I shouldn't have said that. And they'll give me a hug, because kids are forgiving. They will always come back up to you, and they'll give you, no matter what you do, they will always come back up to you, I love you. And we need to teach them that even as responsible adults, we can communicate our feelings and say, I'm a bit tired today, son, I'm a bit tired today, daughter. And, just from young.
And for you, Manny, I know that you're out in the community a lot. Do you have to adjust what you say and how you say it?
It's, that's the truest thing you've said, that we script our lives, we write the script, the plan, and then we come into an environment where we throw it in the bin because it doesn't work for the environment you're in. And we have to go with the way we feel. But to be good at anything like communication, you kind of have to practice it. You can't just get up and be good at communicating. So that practice becomes your everyday, part of your everyday life. The way you talk to someone when you meet them in the street, or the shopkeeper, or your parents in the morning, or your kids, that's your practice. That's your free practice ground before you get out in life. So that is really important, that we practice the skill of communication. Our lives are sort of controlled digitally. I don't do Zoom or Teams. My company hates me for that. I refuse. I'll say, pick a coffee shop and let's meet. And I'm going to tell you, use an example of positive communication. With the fundraising that I do, I suddenly gained a bit of a profile, especially with the football club down the road. Suddenly there's 30,000 people following you. Do you think 30,000 people like what you do? Of course they don't. There's always going to be a percentage. So I was trolled and abused pretty badly by an account that changed several times over several years. This happened. Eventually I found out who it was, and I sent him a message. And my message was, hi, his name, do you fancy a coffee? I'd like to sit down and talk to you. And I got no reply. 2 months later, he sent me a reply that was the biggest message I had ever received. And he poured his heart out to me. He said I was embarrassed the way I was, what language he used, that he would never be able to face his kids if they ever found out some of the stuff that he was sharing online. He now helps me. He's a volunteer and we do work together. And I said to him, if I had only your experiences in life and the teachings that you had in life, I possibly would have been exactly like you. So how can I judge your words and actions? I know the reality of you is someone that's full of great energy that wants happiness at the end. You've just gone down the wrong path because you might have met the wrong people. So am I going to write you off for that? No, I'm going to bring you in. And that's a change. I could have fought that fire with fire. Someone's abusing me. Someone's using racist language. I'm going to hit him back. No, let's hit him back with something that will build not only him, but myself. And that's the way we can change our way. It takes a couple of pans to make a sound. We could use a saying in our language, you know, you don't have to be that person to make the noise. You can approach it and say, okay, let's accept you and let's work with that and let's try and achieve a positive outcome. It might mean that I still don't like you and you don't like me, but we've still tried and we've gone down a different path that's not going to ruin me. It's ruined you for a little bit, but we can go to a path where it will improve us both. So practice communication, man. Say good morning, speak to the shopkeeper. This is your chance to practice it. This here is practicing communication. How many times do we do this? We don't need a special event. We should be doing it every single day, every single environment. Don't sit next to your best friend at work. Go to the other side of the company and speak to someone you've never spoke to before, and they'll say, oh my God, I didn't expect that from him. And isn't he a nice person? You'll improve their day, but you'll walk away feeling so much better.
Do you think society is ready for that, though? Do you think society is ready for men to be emotional and vulnerable and being positive communication when for so long we really haven't?
I'm gonna go against the grain there. Like I say, I think society wants to, but I don't think we're ready just yet. And I'll cover that in a sec. So I want to touch on what you said at the moment about training. And I think it's a skill, isn't it? So the communication is absolutely a skill. So a lot of the times I have conflicts and have conversations with people, it isn't something that I've just learned organically through having conversations. Genuinely, as a leader in corporate spaces, I've been on different courses, multiple courses, how to deal with conflict. Only up until 2023, I think you touched on this, I realized two things can be right. And it's one of the most powerful things I've ever learned. So I'm in a conversation with somebody and somebody says something, your version of events may be right, but I also think mine's right. And my ability is to now find the common ground, not to say you're wrong, to say I appreciate your perspective. So going back onto where society is at the moment, I think we get into a much better place where we are now in terms of conversations that men are having. I still think there's a lot of work to be done in receivership. And by receivership, I mean, I think you'll see everywhere people say, men don't speak, men don't speak. But if I go to majority of people and said, I feel, using the term suicidal, that person receiving it, how are they going to receive that? I feel like I've got the skill set I've been taught to do, to know what I need to do. But I'm going to say 90% of people don't have the skill set to actually deal with that. My wife has one of the best skills in the world. She understands me when I'm silent. She understands me when I'm silent. She understands my silences. So she would say, that's you communicating. You're still speaking to me. I just understand your silence. And right now, I don't think society is completely ready. I think we want to be, and I think we're getting there. But, we're at the start of that journey.
I think for me, it's kind of the wrong question and the wrong way to look at it in terms of we say, is society ready for men? And there's multiple men in this room and we're all different. We're all multifaceted. If you look at a car, it's made up of so many different components. But if you take away just the tyres, which you can get for 20, 30 pounds used, the car can't function. And I think that we need to stop generalising men and understanding that we're all different. Yeah, we are males, but we're totally different. If we all got, caught up in traffic now, there would be 6 or 7 different responses to that situation. In my day-to-day life, I'm seen as the pillar, whether it's my immediate family or external friendship groups. So if I'm having a bad day, there is more pressure on me because I can't offload the same way because they're like, I'm the one that makes everything okay. I'm the one that they go to. So instead of me struggling with that, I found ways to cope, and people that I can speak to that might not be the head of their social structure, but they're a very good set of ears. Even speak with my wife, we'll have conversations when I think she's not listening. But believe me, in 2 weeks' time, she'll remind me of what I've said and bring it up in conversation. So I feel like it's having enough resources and different types of people to deal with the different challenges that men are going through at different points of life. How I respond to stuff now at 36 years old, at 17 years old, definitely not the same. At 21, definitely not the same. They say cool heads prevail. One of the things that I try and educate people with, including myself, is free of choice doesn't mean free of consequence. And again, that's within communication, that's within our actions and how we carry ourselves. A lot of people want free will, but they want to dictate how someone responds to them or communicates back. But even in our company, Vision for All, we try and say, be the change. And if you can't find a nice person, be one. And that's part of the journey that we're on as individuals working there. So I do feel like if we find people where they're at and with what they're currently going through and try and navigate that instead of finding one blanket for all men, just having a space. If a male wants to cry, that's fine. If one wants to, we might just say there's a rage room. Do you want to go to there for half an hour? That's cool for you.
Can I touch on that? So do you think in professional spaces, and it is a generalization, but do you think men are judged differently for showing emotions?
Definitely, but also every male in every group, in every walk of life, already has their own label from their circle. So you've got the friend that might be the funny friend, like you said, you're the funny one. You might have one who's the fighter. Oh, don't give him a drink, and that's, so if someone does start being more emotional, it's more of a red flag than the one who probably, he's always like that. And I feel like we need to kind of just strip the labels and kind of look at the situation for what it is. The person that I am now, I could go through something traumatic in the next day or two and it will change how I respond to stuff. So the generalization of men is we should be that, but we're totally different characters. Some of us are fighters, some of us are lovers, some of us are in the middle. There's so many different facets to us as men that we're underselling ourselves. My apologies, one sec. It's my daughter on video call as well.
The joys of being a father.
Yeah. So yeah, men are multifaceted and we have to appreciate that. I'm one of two. Me and my brother, same mum, same dad. We've got a lot of similar traits and everyone always says, you remind me of your brother. Or they'll say to my brother, you remind me of your brother. But then how we handle situations, I'm like, how are you so polar opposite to me? And this is two people who came from the same household, same parents. Do you know what I mean? So imagine having someone from a different walk of life who's gone through polar opposite experiences, how they cope with situations. So I do feel like the generalization of men to be strong is okay, but if they don't want to be strong in that moment, that's perfectly okay as well.
And Manny, knowing kind of what you do outside of your charity work, you must be faced with lots of different emotions from men and women.
Yeah, I just want to touch on something about it being normalized that men have to be these strong characters and not talk about all these soft issues. Well, take, for example, something like I practice meditation. It's a massive part of my life. 25 years I've been meditating. Bloke meditating sounds a bit, feminine. If you take the art of yoga, many centuries ago when it first started, most of the people who did it was men. You go to a yoga class now, a bloke looks around and thinks, I don't belong here because it's also all women here. It was a male thing to do, to be in touch with themselves, to be looking after them, to caring about it. Self-care was a normal subject. And maybe it's not this is the way, it's just the cycle we've gone through and the teachings we've got and the knowledge has gone missing. That has developed into into hard characters, the leaders, the ones who never get flustered, who are not supposed to express their emotions. And it's really refreshing when meet somebody who is completely opposite. I was really taken aback and really pleased that a bloke in a pink blazer gave me a rose. What a wonderful sign that was. You know, that's never happened before, but this is Wolverhampton. These things can happen. But you know, and we're probably
Salmon, by the way.
we're probably more feminine than we think we are in our actions. Our gurus, just want to touch on my faith, because that's where I get my messages from. They call themselves Mahella. Mahella means wife. I am a wife, and the Lord is my husband. So they introduce themselves, the leaders of our faith, as women in the analogy they used, and softened their approach to the way they dealt with situations. So you will meet all sorts of characters, and that's okay. But it's when we have these real soft conversations that we start learning about each other. It's not the hard ones. What do you do? What car do you drive? What's your, you know? So one of them, a kid asked me at school, Manny, what's your net worth? Oh, interesting question. So I said, you total the value up, I'll tell you what I possess. And he says, okay then. Got his calculator out. Breathing, put a value on that. Moving my hands, put a value on that. Seeing with my eyes, put a value on that. Hearing, I just went through all these things. And he goes, how am I supposed to do that? I said, you'll never be able to calculate my net worth.
Yeah.
I'm so rich. So, you know, we have the capabilities within us. Be flexible, be adaptive, have those conversations. If somebody fancies having a strong argumentative discussion with you, yeah, let them have it, you know, let them have that space. And I'm pretty sure you'll get to the soft bit eventually. And it's the bit where we start repairing, you know, human beings are inherently the same. The energy we possess, the way we're made, what do we want out of life? Happiness. Oh, isn't that amazing? We go to a human being and we think, heck, I wonder if we've got something in common. Everything about you is in common, apart from the way you're wrapped, the bit that goes in the bin when you leave this world. Everything else is exactly the same. So let's get to that part. Let's start enjoying each other's presence and learn off each other, making mistakes, falling down, lifting each other up and going again. It's possible. It's possible. And I'm ready. The world might not be ready, but I have to make myself ready.
100%.
And that's where it starts. Am I ready? The mirror. Am I ready? Yes. Let's go.
And how do you transpose that into professional environment where there's kind of an accepted norm? How do you transpose that culture and that way of life to places where it might not be expecting to receive that?
I think I don't have this vision of improving a situation. I only have the vision of improving myself. I just want to improve myself. I've only got one chance at being human. If I live till 100 years, I'm going to spend 50 asleep. There's only 50 left. The ones I've lived have already gone. It's this amount of time I'm on this planet. So self-care and I just portray myself as positively as possible. And I think that vibration is a ripple effect. And I've seen it in my charity work. I've seen people who are doing things that they would never have done. I go into schools, I meet lots of primary school children. I've had some really positive stories about, you know, kids doing things that they never went into, going into fundraising, helping others, taking up activities, just by me portraying myself. So sometimes we're pretty encapsulated with trying to change everybody else, but we forget to change ourselves. You know, if I don't benefit, how can I let other people benefit? And when I benefit, I'm going to show them everything. I'm going to celebrate my wins. I'm going to tell everybody how great this possibility is of being human. And that's the mission, and everything else kind of looks after itself in my practice.
And Luceo, you've spoken about how your business operates. What would you share with people? What have you learned from that experience and the benefits you found of operating that way? What would you say that other people can kind of mirror?
Dealing with so many members of staff. First thing I learned was to reset myself, because you're just dealing with so many different things going on at once. Literally, you've got, my daughter's sick, but then because I'm a parent first always, I incorporated a policy where if somebody's child is sick, they will still get paid. If there's assemblies, if they've got a certificate at school, they still get paid in time off work. The only thing they have to communicate is how much time they need off a full day or hours. And he was communicating those messages. Because when I did work a conventional 9 to 5, I complained every single day. But then I realized, okay, so if you had the keys to this palace, what would you do differently? And that's what I've tried to incorporate in running businesses and running organizations, is being people focused, communicating always. I've had feedback from the staff when they didn't like the way that I've spoke to them. And there were some interesting conversations. One member of staff, younger, I've turned up, I do quality assurance visits, so I turn up at a session, they don't know I'm coming. There's nobody there, but I'm paying for this.
How did it feel to get that kind of feedback?
So again, literally I let them conduct the session when I've got there, and then we spoke afterwards. They dropped me a call and they said, the way you spoke to me, I didn't really like it. I didn't think it was fair. So I said, okay, I'll take that on board, but let's go back to the root cause analysis, RCA. Was you on time? No. Did you report to any member of staff, management, you was not going to be on time? No. Okay, cool. If you was on time, would there be an issue? Would there be anything? I said, I will take on board that you don't like the way I spoke to you, but let's go to why this happened in the first place. And even that, they took on board what I said, and they realized that the amount of hours that we put into running the business, running the organization, making sure people get paid, making sure young people get a service, families get a service, we all have to be fair. And their feedback the next day actually was, do you know what? I apologize. I understand. I apologize as well. Not necessarily for what I said, but how I said it or how I came across, because I understand that speaking to person A, I can be a bit more stern, but person B needs an arm around the shoulder. And that's what I was on about, dealing with so many different personalities at different times. Also managing my own emotions when I'm not having a good day and everything's just going wrong. It feels like everything's on fire and I've just got to go, okay. So my team now know if I put in a group WhatsApp chat, okay, leave him alone. Something's going on, he will sort it out after. I just put, okay. And then I'll pop back in the group chat and say, that's sorted. That'll be on the way then. You need to be here. So I do think cool heads do prevail. And I've learned that even when people have gone at me, I've had parents, one absolutely tried to rinse me on the phone for no reason. It was nothing to do with me or the organisation. So I just stopped him mid-conversation. I goes, we're going to have to stop this conversation because I haven't been disrespectful to you. You've been very disrespectful and rude to myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to end this call now and I'm going to get someone else to call you. So another member of my team called and I read the room. It was a female that was on my phone. I could tell a lot was going on. So I got one of my softly spoken members of the team to speak to the young lady. She extracted all the information. The parent actually apologized, said, Luceo didn't deserve that. I'm so sorry. But I could have just said, who the you talking to? Your kids aren't coming to my, but I realized something was going on. It wasn't just normal behavior. And then kids carry on coming to the sessions type stuff. And we actually text, we've got a good rapport. I do make jokes, you in a good mood today? So it's like, we have to read the room and understand that even if somebody does speak out of turn, not to hold them by that person that you've met first, because that was our first interaction and it wasn't a good one, but I can't just tar you with that same brush because I don't like to be tarred with the same brush, who I was or what I've done before. So, yeah.
So yeah, there's, I think we could probably talk about this all day and how we communicate. The next conversation, we'll dig into those a bit deeper, but I just wanted to give a chance for the audience to kind of ask the questions. Any things that you guys might want to ask any of the team here?
Firstly, I'd like to ask, what does emotional intelligence mean from a man's perspective? And also, how can we as women understand what it means to you, but it also impacts us in a positive way, because everybody wants an emotionally intelligent man.
So emotional intelligence to me, and even applying it to my own personal relationship, was understanding, putting myself in my wife's shoes when speaking about situations. And I'll give you a real example. This year we was blessed with the opportunity to work abroad in France. So before I even went home and got excited about it, I thought about the dynamics and I spoke to one of my friends and I said, you know what? If I go on this trip, who am I going to go on this trip with? If my wife went on a work trip with another male, how would I feel? straight away, that's the first thing I was thinking. So I thought, okay, how do I have this conversation? Then I realized I didn't need to have the conversation. I put the measures in place to make sure this is who I'm going on a trip with. This is what it was, and it was okay. That's a form of emotional intelligence to me. It's understanding when I go somewhere, how I present myself, how I carry myself, how I conduct myself. How would my kids feel if they looked back on a video of me doing something or saying something? And it's, from my standpoint, it's putting myself in other people's shoes as we're conducting ourselves. When we're responding, are we responding according to that person? Again, relationship wise, if you know your wife or your husband or your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, doesn't like being shouted at, or you know they're going through a stressful time, are you bringing up something trivial now to make things worse? Are you understanding, do you know what? They haven't washed up, but do you know what? They've had a bad day. We can address it in the morning. I'll wash up and I won't even mention it. That's emotional intelligence to me. And from a female standpoint, I would say it's just about listening to what's actually being said in the message. Because sometimes we listen to someone thinking that they're saying something else, instead of saying, look, I don't want to talk right now. And the other person will go, oh, you don't want to talk to me? What do you want to? No. I don't want to talk right now. Which means I do want to talk to you. I will engage about what's going on. But right now is not the best time, because it might just make it worse. It's just going to inflame it. Stuff's going to get said that doesn't need to be said. My friend had a situation recently with his partner. And when I chopped it up with him, I said to him, stop. If you would have just left it, there wouldn't have been a big, massive argument and it wouldn't have gone from A to Z. And he said, you know what? You're right. So everything that happened after that, emotional intelligence, if the partner's saying, do you know what, leave it, or I'm going to go for a walk, just do it. And that's emotional intelligence for me, just understanding the situation and articulating yourself correctly and mean what you're saying, say what you mean. Do you know what? I don't want to talk right now. Give me an hour. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go gym. We'll talk when we get back, and have that difficult conversation. I've been with my wife 14 years, married 9. And one of the biggest things that I learned myself recently was conversations that I didn't think I could have. When she said that we can have them, we had them, and things improved, because I was bottling things up thinking that, oh, I can't say this because it's just gonna, and actually, no, we can have them conversations. And now it's easier to articulate myself. So even in long relationships, you're constantly reinventing yourself, because you're changing professionally, personally, emotionally, and so are they. When you add kids into the mix, a lot of things, even routine, who's got a bathroom in the morning, who's going to drop them to school, who's picking them up, who's taking them to extracurriculars, understanding the pressures that it has on the other person as well, if they're studying, what their working hours are. So a lot of empathy and putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
I think we're always changing as well. So knowing that we're changing means we need to ask more questions. And when you go into that, it's asking the questions that are going to have the biggest impact. So, for example, we mentioned a couple of times today, COVID, a lot of people realized they didn't know the people they were with because they hadn't spent that time with them. So what questions do you ask about a partner, a friend, whoever they are, to understand more about them? How many times have you had a great friend and you've gone on holiday or spent an extended period of time and thought, I'm not sure, you know? And those... Yeah, it's unpacking the things that are out there. So we asked about how do we talk to them about these things. So you hear a lot about women say they want a leader. What does that actually mean? I think we've lost sight of what some of these words mean now, and there's lots of rhetoric which is thrown out online which says that this is wanted or that's wanted. But as men, do we know? Are we asking the questions to understand what does leadership mean? What are they asking for when they ask that? The media in a faith-based sense, the media in a sense of leading the household. What does that mean? So for me, emotional intelligence in its simplest form is asking questions, but being open to receive the answer, even if it's one you don't want to hear.
I pretty much agree. I'll keep it short and sweet. So emotional intelligence to me it's born from empathy, and it's the ability to be aware of every situation. I think emotional maturity is the action you take now that you're aware.
Yeah, something changed in my life 25 years ago, where I shared some of this information that I'm sharing with you. The only people I didn't share it with was my own family. So we we introduced like a discussion hour every week in our family, without the mics, without the audience. We'd sit like this and just talk. It became so normal we couldn't wait till this hour happened where we all sat down, and it was my father and my mother and my daughter and my kids and my wife, and we just talked about anything and everything and gave that space. Intelligence comes from knowledge. It's like you go to school, you sitting there, somebody gives you knowledge, you start to produce intelligent results based on knowledge. So we shouldn't have to wait for the school or the club or the mental health group. We've got to try and introduce that health club in our own homes. You know, I don't watch TV. I don't really see much value in it myself. This is the best TV in the world. I kind of don't know what's going to happen next. It's really exciting. You know, it's all unpredicted, unscripted. And we can produce that content at home. So have discussions, sit down with people, go throw some curveballs in, have a bit of humor, have a bit of laugh, you know, and make it normal to talk. Making discussion normal. So that's what I introduced, which has improved my family life. To you sort of know how somebody is just by looking at them, because of they've expressed their feelings, the faces, the index of the mind. You know, picture paints those words, and you can sort of, the trigger point comes to you and you know how to approach someone. So again, it's practice, making it normal, discuss, talk. The more we do it, the better we get. It's, you know.
And I think that it's an important technique to have. And I just share that if someone's looking how you do that, I think it sounds very similar to a technique that I've found called State of the Union address, where you sit down and you have that conversation with the family. And there's lots of things you can print out and do and kind of shape that journey with your family. Cool. Are there any other questions?
So as someone that's getting to a stage where I'm getting to a good place in my career and what I'm doing, one thing that I always think about is, okay, how am I going to manage all this that I do with my future wife, who I'm getting married to next year, with her expectations and whatnot? And how do I position myself in life to just not get sucked into the work and, you know, just position myself to just make sure the family home is secure? And what do you guys do? What advice have you got?
By the way, the fact that you're asking that question tells me you're on the right path. Yeah. So well done for that. I think you touched on this before, it's not a one size fits all approach. I think it's going to be different for absolutely everybody. One of the drivers, I think, for a lot of men is, and what impacts a lot of men's mental health is, I think we lose purpose. And I think the drive that someone like you has, I'll always encourage this to continue to have purpose. So that's okay. So you've got visions and a passion to be successful in the future. You can continue to having that drive, but there's a balance, and the balance can be what we call moving the goalpost. And that's where it can impact somebody's mental health, where you say, this is where success is, but you keep pushing your success without challenging yourself or telling yourself, actually, I've done well here. So my advice would always be, continue to push yourself, continue to make goals, continue to smash your goals out the park, and have those conversations with that future wife that you're speaking about, and you're on the right path.
I would just add in, so I would say it's, in terms of like success, it's subjective. So I've got friends and I've got people around me who have got more financial muscle than I've got, but they're not as happy as I am. Purely because if you go into my working calendar, either the morning or the afternoon, I either drop my kids off to school or I pick them up. When my kids were in nursery, I don't miss anything. Nothing comes before me seeing my kids, and that came from my parents. They're still married, been together 40 odd years. But every assembly, if I was in a play or something, I would look at the back. Even my dad was late out every single time, but I would see him running in and to watch me, even if it's my last lines in a play. My parents were always present. So for me, you have to decide what success means like to you. For some of my friends, it's having the latest, biggest, fastest cars. There's nothing wrong with that. We sit in a group, we go out for food and we discuss it. But for me, what's key is, can I do what I desire when I want to, and I can. If I wanted to go on a plane tomorrow, I can. But I wouldn't because of the family structure. That's success to me. So you have to define with your wife, what does success look like you? And it's going to change. It's going to change. Me and my wife 14 years ago, what success was then is different to what it looks like to us now, if that makes sense. So I'd say keep having open communication with your partner to see what you both want and find where it aligns, and where it doesn't align, that's fine. Find solutions for it. Don't see it as problems. At the moment, my wife works 4 days a week, but she works from home because she also wants to do school runs and pick him up. I could do them all the time, but we're blessed at this moment in time to have that. We can do it. So you have to make sure it aligns. Where it doesn't align, have the conversations. If it's financial goals, make the sacrifices. When I started this off 3 years ago and I took over Vision for All, as I was getting my first decent type of contracts, I had two choices. I was working 7 days a week, which was causing relationship issues. And I said, I can either try and pay these bills and do stuff that we don't need to do, or I can get a team in. And I thought, you know what? I could have more time at home, which would give me more mental capacity and physical capacity being present at home and in the business by giving up. Now, I deliver what I want to deliver. I go to lectures that I want to deliver. I go to workshops that I want to. Most of the time I'm in my house. Christmas, I'm in my Grinch slippers, I'm in my pajamas, I'm chilled. I go gym. Before I came here, I'll eat my steak, I'll eat my eggs, and I'm just chilling. Literally no stress, because that's what success looks like to me. I've worked in a factory leading a team of 16 people just up the road in Jaguar Land Rover, and I made loads of money. I had a company car, I had a Range Rover at the time, brand new showroom. To everybody else apart from me, that looked like success. I hated it. Getting up at 5 a.m. to get to the I hated it. My pay slip, it was cool. And then I said, I convinced myself working that I could never accrue that level of pension and money doing anything else apart from being there. That wasn't success to me, it was to everybody else. And now I've refigured my life around where I'm a present husband, present son, I'm always there for my parents, dropped them to the airport for their holiday. That's success to me. So you have to redefine what it means to you. Find your goals and achieve it. Try not to attach it to money per se. My only suggestion would be time. Have control of your time and everything else will fall in place.
How old are you, by the way? 27. So you mirrored what I was like. 25, just got married, want a successful career, a nice house, big car, and you just hit the nail on the head. Did it give you happiness? It didn't. So let's change your goal from the car and the house and the marriage and the kids to your happiness. Where does happiness come from? So if you think about money, why aren't all rich people automatically happy? They're the ones starting wars and killing each other, aren't they? Yeah. I can't see much happiness there. They still go through trauma. When you abandon the chase, then things chase you. Think of yourself as complete. Have you got hard work within you? Of course you have. You can tell from just those small words. Have you got kindness, love, compassion? Have you got dedication, commitment, concentration? You're more complete than you'll ever know. Use your complete. Things will chase you. I have no vision to, or never had no desire. I've met the last 3 prime ministers and had tea with the king. I didn't ask them. They asked me. I didn't have no yearning to do that. They came to me. All I'm concentrating is my peace of mind, my well-being, and my experience happiness. I want to go on that road. I'm driven to make my life count, to make every day. So I get up and I think, just like he said in the pajamas, and he's happy. I'm happy when I get up and I think, wow, I've got hands. Oh my God, I've got clothes to wear. Oh my God, I've got a roof over my head. This is amazing. Oh, look at that fridge full of food. And I walk out feeling $1 million. I feel ready. I've got everything I need in the box of being human. I am so complete. It's unreal. Now I've just got to use my complete. Abandon the shadows, face that energy, and they will chase you. All that stuff that you're seeing as a target will come into your life if you use what you've already got.
Wow. Yeah. I myself feel kind of privileged to be here amongst three brothers and kind of the information that you guys are sharing. And if you're sitting there and listening and taking in, hopefully it's been insightful for you. We'll continue the conversations over the next coming months in different formats.